All right. Well, so those of you who don't know, this is Marta, and your last name, how do you pronounce it? Is it Spear?
Spirk.
Burke.
Yes.
Okay. Wasn't sure if I was. I'm like, I wonder if I'm pronouncing it correctly in my
Yeah.
head.
No worries.
This lovely young lady has triplets. I just want to make sure everyone understands how amazing that is, because my son is going to be 3 years old next week,
Oh,
and
nice.
your triplets just turned 3 years old, right?
Today, yes.
Oh, happy
Thank
birthday!
you so much. It's been a crazy day. We're actually going to be we celebrated last weekend and then over the weekend because my husband's out of town. So it's been like
Okay.
a million celebrations. It's been kind of crazy.
Oh, that's awesome. So our kids are 7 days apart, but I was looking at my son today and I was thinking having triple of him is just, I don't know how you manage to do all of these things.
It's pretty nuts. I don't know how I do it sometimes either, but it helps me.
It helps you stay focused, right?
Yes, totally.
Well, I know that you have to, we're not sure about time because for anyone who has kids, we know that, anything could possibly happen. So, tell us about yourself. Tell us your story.
Well, I am originally from Brazil, so I was born there and lived there my entire life. But I was always kind of obsessed with American culture. So I started being really interested in English and movies and songs, and soon that turned into teaching English to my friends that were having trouble. They would come over to my house. Soon I started actually tutoring and getting paid for it. I had, older people from church coming to my house, and it turned into kind of like a job. And then I went and got my bachelor's in translation. And I'd always been very involved in church. My mom is a pastor, and I actually met my husband in a church conference in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And that's how I ended up here. We got married and I moved. But I'd been, teaching English and having a lot of contact with the American culture for a long time. I actually got my master's in linguistics, so I've always been about the cultures and the languages. And I think that, along with my church background, really helped me or made me be very interested in motivating people and encouraging people, as a teacher and, in church and all of that. And then we actually moved back to Brazil for a while. We've been going back and forth, which has been a journey on its own, living into different countries, married, and all of that. And then we actually had triplets in Brazil, so they are Brazilian. They were born in Brazil. And when I moved back here, and being a stay-at-home mom, it was kind of strange because when I was working before, as a teacher and tutor and all of that, I kind of was looking forward to taking a break and, having kids, staying home and everything. And then triplets, I wasn't ready for that. I mean, who is?
Mhm.
And we ended up deciding to move back to America sooner than expected because my father-in-law was diagnosed with cancer and he hadn't met the babies. We weren't sure, it wasn't looking very good at the time. He ended up passing away 4 months after we moved back. So it was the right decision for sure. And in the meantime, I was like, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. Knowing myself, I needed something else because I've always enjoyed working out and, going places and being very active. I am, I have lots of energy somehow, which works with triplets, I guess, but it's still tough. And I wasn't going to be able to go to the gym. It was just hard with three. And one of my sons actually has a lung condition, so he's on oxygen 24/7. So that made it even harder to, pack everybody and leave. And I still make it a point to go places and do things, but when they're little babies, it's harder. So I started my coaching journey through network marketing. I started as a fitness coach, and that helped me a lot because I needed, that accountability, that sense of community, connecting with other moms online because I couldn't barely leave the house, and it helped me get on this path of encouraging moms. And then I started noticing, okay, this is really a thing. I really like doing this. And after a while, I realized that, especially on the online space, you have to really be yourself and know who you are to stand out. And in the network marketing space, I started getting a little bit frustrated with that because I wasn't really feeling it. Like, I loved what I was doing, but I'm not a fitness expert. I'm not a nutrition expert, which you don't have to be to necessarily, help people, especially through network marketing, because you're just, the company backs you up with all of this, the resources. But I noticed, okay, motivation really is my thing. And so I kind of switched gears and got into doing what I'm doing right now.
That's awesome. So tell us what that is. What is it? What's the fun stuff you get to do now?
Okay, so it was a process. The very first step that I took was starting my podcast, which you were on, and I loved it, which is called Mom Does It All. That's where my new, vision and direction, and really starting my business came to be, was when I came up with that name. And I came up with that name because of the things that I had experienced up until then. There were a lot of people that admired me and felt inspired by me, but there was a lot of criticism too. Like, how are you adding something else to your plate when you have triplets at home? And I know it may seem crazy, and many moms feel very fulfilled in their role as a mom, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but we're all very different. And I believe that if you feel pulled towards doing something, that means something, right? It means you have a calling, you have something, you have, a message that you need to share. And I really believe I do have a message that I need to share to empower moms. And I feel like having triplets gives me even more of a, credibility into what I'm saying, that I get it. I know what it feels like to kind of lose yourself once you have kids and not know where you're going from there. And it kind of gets me emotional. I'm super emotional, and being a mom made it even worse. Or I don't know. I don't know if that's bad, but I mean, it intensified it for sure. And so that's where the whole Mom Does It All came to be, is that we already are doing everything. I mean, we wear so many hats because there are so many people that demand our attention 24/7. Right? Like, you have your kids, you have your husband, you have your friends, you have your family. It never ends. And we are already doing it all as it is. But my invitation and my challenge is for you to look within and really get to know yourself, get to know your passions, get to know your purpose on this earth, because that's what's going to make you fulfilled. And that doesn't mean that, having kids doesn't fulfill you, or that doesn't mean that having my kids didn't fulfill me. It means that I know I have this purpose, and if I don't fulfill this purpose outside of them, I'm not going to be my best self. I'm not going to be fully present for them because there's something missing. Mm-hmm. And I know many moms can relate to that. So I wanted to open up this discussion because lots of us feel scared or ashamed to even say, hey, I am not 100% happy as a mom. Because it's like, you have a baby. There's lots of women out there that can't have babies, that don't have this opportunity. How dare you feel unfulfilled? You know what I mean? And I took it upon myself to open this discussion up, regardless of whoever judges me, to say, maybe you don't understand where I'm coming from, but other women do. And that's that.
Mm-hmm. And I think, like, especially in my community, I find that women are giving, and then they're not doing things for themselves. So they think they're doing the right thing for their family, but they're not taking care of themselves.
Right.
So they're really not doing the right thing for their family. Who's going to be happy? No one's happy if mom's not happy.
No.
Realistically.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the whole point of everything that I do, is that what you feel selfish by taking care of yourself, but in reality, when you don't take care of yourself, you are being selfish.
And to throw there too, I mean, my husband and I talk about this too. When the kids are grown and gone, you're still there.
Exactly.
That team. So you are you by yourself. You're part of this team.
Yes.
Of relationship. And then there's the children. So there's all these different like bubbles, these different people. But we need to be able to take care of ourselves and look within and figure out, because when all is said and done, yes, it's great that you raise children, but you also have to have accomplished other things for yourself as well. And obviously, we're on the same page.
Yes. Totally. And the whole thing of, I'm going to wait until the kids start school. I'm going to wait until the kids go to college. And it's like, okay, but of course, you're not going to do things in the same proportion, right? Once they're not around, once you have more time. But that doesn't mean that you don't exist in the meantime, right? You can still start taking steps and find things that fulfill you and that bring you joy. And that doesn't mean you're neglecting your kids. Quite the contrary. Of course, you have to find some balance. And I even kind of hate that word because, it looks different for everybody. What even is this elusive balance? It's just making sure, everyone is taken care of, including yourself, right?
Exactly. That self-care is such an important thing. So what are some tips that you have to help women?
So the very first thing that I always touch on is you have to get to know yourself. And again, we're always so busy taking care of everybody else. We don't know what we want. We don't know what we're struggling with. We just live on autopilot. We just go through the motions because, you know, the kids go to sleep. You're exhausted, you go to sleep. Tomorrow, you start all over again. And it kind of feels like you're spinning your wheels, like you're in the hamster wheel, right? Every day is the same thing. And then one day you kind of maybe break down. One day maybe you enter depression and you don't know how you got to that place. And I really, my tip for moms is to get to know yourself. And how do you do that? Start small, start simple with journaling, with having a moment to yourself to process your thoughts and your feelings. And then the next step would be talking to someone, maybe a counselor. And then another thing too, which is what I do, is coaching women and finding a coach, someone that will keep you accountable with this process of, okay, I need to be centered. I need to look within myself. And within all of that, one of the things that I teach a lot and that I love talking about is self-sabotage. And especially in the entrepreneurial space, because, you know, and that's the thing, entrepreneurship helped me so much because you have to set goals for your business because you need to make money. So you have to have a game plan, right? And usually as moms, we don't really do that. Again, we just go through the motions. It's like the next day is coming and then it is what it is. And you're just doing. And you don't set goals for your family or for yourself because I'm just going to make sure everyone's alive for the, you know, and finish the day. Exactly. And then that's when you don't take care of your needs and you don't set goals of maybe, you know, my kid's not sleeping. Okay. And you're just going to take that as that's how life is. My kid doesn't sleep and life is miserable. No. Take steps into finding a way of fixing it. So the whole self-sabotage thing is acknowledging that you have a problem. Because so many times we just decide to pretend like it's not there, but that doesn't fix it. That doesn't eliminate it. It's still there. And that's in many ways how we sabotage ourselves is either intentionally or unintentionally. I don't want to deal with this, so let's pretend like it's not there. And this goes back to our past, right? The things that we have learned from our families. And I know you know a lot of this, right? Patterns that we don't, you know, it's like we don't wake up and it just keeps happening and happening and happening until you decide to look within. And it may be hard to do that by yourself because you're just so used to being miserable. You think that's the thing. You know, life is just miserable. How do you, what is there out of this, you know? So having someone help you look outside of the picture or have this bird's eye view of your life helps a lot in that sense. So the tip is,
we can't do it ourselves or we would have done it already.
Exactly.
And for me, I know even for myself, I thought I could do it because I have all these degrees and all these things. And when I was stuck in there, and then I had to really get my team together because they were the ones who had been there, done that, and knew how to get there. Don't have people that are, you know, you're relying on yourself who hasn't done a very good, or probably has not done the best of job, or
right.
You wouldn't be, you know, or you have maybe friends or family that are maybe not as supportive, or, you know, you've got to take the people that are going to help move you to the next place, not people that are spinning their wheels.
Exactly.
Same things over and over again.
Exactly. Yeah. So finding someone that can actually help you, because I say, you know, talk to a friend, talk to a family member, and that's better than stuffing things up and bottling things up. But there are people that are qualified to ask you questions that you haven't asked yourself and that will, you know, dig things out that you have never even imagined were inside of you. And this is very freeing, right? Because that's one thing that I say, especially in terms of goal setting. Yes, it's important to set goals. But before you even think about what you want your life to look like, you have to look at what it is like right now and why it is like right now. What is the source of all of these things? Because otherwise, you're just going to repeat the pattern. So that's why it's so important to go through this whole self-sabotaging thing. And then, yes, look at your strengths and the things that you love, the things that you want, and the things that you have already accomplished. So I am a big advocate for bragging and being proud of the things that you have done. Because again, as moms, we always think we're not doing enough, right? We always think, you know, people are not happy. People, you know, don't think I'm doing a very good job. We're so worried about what everybody else thinks. And yeah, exactly. And so we forget to look at ourselves and be like, I am doing a fine job with what I've got right now. And yes, that doesn't mean I can't improve or that I shouldn't want to improve, but I have to acknowledge how amazing I am right now. And we forget to do that again. So again, it's looking at the dark side to get awareness, to bring awareness and have some insight into what's going on. And then look at the brighter side and be like, I am pretty good. Like I have these things that I need to work on, but I am amazing. And that gives you the motivation and the strength to make the changes because you know you have the potential and the strength to do that.
Whew.
Yes. I talk a lot.
Well, there's so much to say, and that, and that's what it is. It's there to be able to get to that person, to get in there and realize the purpose and the passion and the excitement. And, obviously you're very passionate about what you talk about, and I get it because that's where I'm at. I mean, yeah. We've talked about this before too, is that, when you are doing what you love, you just do it. And yeah. It's like work.
Yes.
We're not, it's just, I'm doing what I'm good at. And that's something, so to be able to take care of yourself and find the time and have someone to help you get to that direction, it's wonderful and it's amazing to be able, and I love, and I know you do too, love watching the journey.
Yes.
As figuring it out and you're like, yes, that's so cool that you just got that.
Yes.
That is so awesome to be witness to.
Yeah. Well, and one thing too that somebody just asked me today, they said, Mom does it all. How do you do it all and not get burned out? And I just want to say this really quickly because lots of people see all the things that I do with triplets. And like I said, they might even either judge me or be really inspired and just think, I could never do that. More power to you. But that's not my intention. My intention is to say you can as well, and that's not to say that I don't have low moments, that I don't have sad moments. But the thing is that once you learn certain tools, you can get out of these funks a lot easier and faster and actually be grateful for the funks and the lows and the challenges because you're getting stronger and you're learning from that, which sounds kind of sadistic. But now that I finally understand the importance of challenges, especially, with having triplets in my whole journey, I know to appreciate, the hard times. And in terms of the burnout, what I always like to say, and usually my closing tips for interviews and all of that is to say you have to use joy as a compass. And that's what I did when I switched gears with my business and everything. It was that maybe you are not feeling joy with what you're doing anymore. And it's either one of two ways to kind of fix that. You have to change your approach or you have to take that thing off your plate. It's as simple as that. So if you are burned out, you have to find a way of making a change. There's nothing else to it, because once you enjoy doing something so bad, just like what you said, you're going to find that energy. It's just going to happen. You're going to find a way of fitting, because it's all priorities too, right? We find time and we find a way of doing things that we love and that we think are important for us. So yes, that's not to say that I don't feel tired, that I don't feel burned out. My gosh, I do. But I know things that help me rest. So what does that look like to you? And that's self-care again. Do you have to sleep extra and, tune out from your work? Especially as an entrepreneur, like, okay, I'm not going to do anything business related right now, and just give yourself that space and that time. Is it, working out? Is it meditating? Is it just, spending time with no guilt, watching Netflix with your husband, unplugging from social media, because that's a huge time suck and emotional suck too, energy suck. So find ways of resting your heart, your mind, your soul. And then the burnout won't be as extreme, but it will happen eventually.
Yeah, you get tired and you just take a break, and that's okay. And and again, when you're doing something you love, it's not draining.
It's not.
It's energizing.
Yes, totally.
And then I have to watch myself sometimes because I'm like, oh, it's like 11:30, or and I have to get up at 6 o'clock.
Me too. Especially when the kids are asleep, it's like you have to get work done. It's like the best time. There's no noise, but you're like, I have to sleep because tomorrow it starts all over again.
Yeah. It's all over again, which is cool. So how can people follow you if they want to follow you on social media?
Okay, so
things you have going on right now, because I know you've got so many good stuff going on.
Yes. So I am actually doing a 3-day challenge. It's a free challenge, and I invite everyone to be a part of it. It's called Get Out of Your Own Way. So we're going to go over self-sabotage. We're going to go over looking at your strengths and goal setting. So this is for anyone. It's not just for entrepreneurs. It's for any mom, any woman out there that wants to figure out what is stopping them or how they are stopping themselves. Because most times, there are external circumstances that, can affect but our reality, but usually they're out of our control. We are in our control, right? We can change ourselves, right? So that's why I called it Get Out of Your Own Way. And I can share the link with you guys afterwards, but it's just, you can find it on my website, martaspirk.coach/free challenge. And you can find me as Marta Spirk here on Facebook. I have a Facebook community for moms, or even women that are not moms and that relate with this message are free to join as well. It's called Mom Does It All Community. I have my podcast, Mom Does It All. And on Instagram, you can find me as Mom Does It All as well. And I have an account for the podcast too. So if you search for Marta Spirk or Mom Does It All, you're going to find me.
And don't worry, we will write it all in the comments.
Okay.
But everyone's worried. But is there anything else you want to share before we end?
No, I think that's it. I love sharing my story and sharing encouragement. So if anyone is interested in having someone give them a kick in the pants, or, share this message with their community, I am more than willing to talk to you. Regardless of what you are, of what you do, I feel like every woman needs encouragement and needs to hear you're doing a great job. And even if you're struggling, you can find a way of getting out of this by looking at your past and figuring out what's stopping you. So I'm always open for collaborations and all of the things.
Yep. Awesome. And I love that. You don't have to feel stuck. You're not trapped where you are. You're alive. You're breathing.
Exactly.
Opportunity to make those changes.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for coming on. It was fun as always to talk to you.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And everybody else, I will see you soon. Have a great night. Bye.
Good night. Bye.